Hello everyone, it's Jen. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are playing with Lawn Fawn. I'm participating in the newest Lawn Fanatics challenge, which is something old and something new. So my something new is the Yeti or Not, and my something old is the Winter Village. I'm also bringing in a Slimline die from Trinity Stamps, as well as the little mountain dies from Lawn Fawn, which are also an older product. So I'm going to jump into the coloring. For the coloring today, I'm just going to color one of the Yetis. I'm going to be doing this a little bit more for 2020 to see how you all like it. When I'm creating a more elaborate scene card, I thought I would just pick one or two of the focal images and color those up with you so you can see how they're colored, and then color the other images off screen. So for our Yeti, I am using B23, B21, and B91. And so I'm just going to leave the darkest around his fur line there, around his face, and a little bit to the bottoms of his ears and where his little hands touch his fur body as well. Now I went ahead and I laid down all the colors, and then I'm just going to come back for a second layer with the darkest color and leave that for it to blend into the markers that are already laid down, the ink. And because they're still wet, that will naturally just kind of mesh into that. This is kind of a new thing that I'm trying out with my coloring, and I'm really loving bringing that darker color back just to have it that more saturated and concentrated. For his fur, I'm keeping it really simple, C3 and C00. Again, I'm going to do this a couple times, and I'm just laying the darkest shadows around the edges of his fur. I am blending that out and bringing that C00 up in towards the middle of his body. And then again, I will come back and lay some more of that C3 around the areas where I want it to be the darkest. So here's some of the images colored. I cut them out with my scan and cut, and now I'm going to go ahead and work on my card base. So this is cut out with the Trinity Stamps Slimline die set, and I'll link to this below. It makes these longer cards so much easier, as well as all the products that I'm using today. For the background, I wanted to get out some colors that I don't use in combination very often, so I'm using Blueprint Sketch, Wilted Violet, and Picked Raspberry. I'm just going to show you here. I'm going to lay down my first layer of color. I'm going to go ahead and build that up, and then I'm going to skip through here to the final layers of the distressed ink, just so you can see those final details with the blending here. So you can see that I built up that color quite a bit. Now you're not going to end up seeing much of the Picked Raspberry. I do try to bring it up quite a bit into the Wilted Violet. I am going to add some water droplets here to activate the Oxide ink with my distress sprayer, and then I'm just going to pat that up with some paper towel. I did want a little more of that splatter to the right hand side, so I just added some more water. And now I'm going to go ahead and create my scene. So when I'm doing a more elaborate scene, I like to work from the back towards the front of my card. So my mountains here are going to be in the back, and I cut that out with some of the Narwhal cardstock by Lawn Fawn. I am going to add a heavy acrylic block here just so that that adheres nicely. Now because this is one of the longer Slimline cards, I did need to cut two of the mountain ranges, so I'm just trying to figure out placement here. I'm going to tuck that one little Yeti behind the mountains popping out. I thought that would be kind of cute, and it would fill up and give some interest to that top right hand corner. So I'm just making sure I have things lined up. I'm not going to add any glue to where I want to slip my little Yeti in. And adhere this down, and you'll see how I fix this seam so that you'll never even know that it's actually two panels instead of one. I'm going to tuck my Yeti behind here, and then I can go ahead once I have him down, and I can add a little bit more glue behind that one mountaintop that I didn't get adhesive on, because I didn't want it to adhere down before I got my little Yeti. just trim that up with my scissors, and then again I'm going to place my acrylic block on that for a little bit. Now this is another Trinity die. It comes in one of the Slimline die sets that they have. And I noticed here at the bottom of my glitter cardstock I had a chunk of the glitter missing. So I'm going to end up cutting this down here with my trimmer. It barely fit the length of my trimmer. I wasn't sure if this was going to mean that the snow hill was going to be a little bit too thin for what I wanted, but I wanted to try to salvage this piece of cardstock. So I'm going to give it a try, and it ended up working out perfectly. So I'm going to adhere that down, and once I have that in place, then I can start to play with some of the little elements that I want to decorate my card with. Again, just trimming that up with my scissors there, and now I'm going to place the white caps onto the mountains. I feel like this just makes those mountains pop. This is just some white cardstock that I die cut out a couple of times. Again, you can see here I'm working from the back of the card to the front. I went ahead and colored the houses in a brown color. I wanted something a bit muted so that they would recess back to the back of the card, as opposed to them really standing out as an element of focus for the card. So they would look really cute colored up in pretty colors, but like I said, I just kind of wanted them to fade into the background and fill in the back of my scene. I decided to color my trees in some kind of minty green aqua colors. I'm going to place this little cluster of houses and the what looks like an apartment building to me with the trees here to the right hand side, and I'm going to add this little lamppost which comes in the Winter Village stamp set as well. Now this was a stamp set I've had in my collection for a very long time and had never used, so I was really happy to bring that out of my stash and use it. I am just going to add a couple layers of cardstock here to the back of the tree. You'll see me do this with a few of the elements that I'm going to place on the card where they overhang the white glitter cardstock. And this just ensures that they are the same level and there'll be no dipping in those elements. I wanted to go ahead and place my two little Yetis, which are really the focus of this card, so I could figure out my placement for the little cluster of trees and house here to the left hand side. Again, you can see there I'm doubling up some scrap cardstock just to place at the top of the house. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere the trees flat behind that, one on either side of the house. And I play with placement a little bit with this tree to the right. I thought I might want it to the front of the house, but in the end I thought it would be too tricky to place some of that cardstock behind it. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that behind the house. So that's basically the background for my scene. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dress my Yetis. I absolutely love the outfits that come with this stamp set, the little goggles and then the hat and the scarf. So I am going to dress them a bit differently. I colored one in more of a rosy color and the other in some purples, which is why I chose the Distress Oxide colors that I did for the background. And then I thought the blueprint sketch went really well with the color combination that I used for their faces. I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys on their snowboards, and then I'm going to add again a couple layers of some scrap cardstock here to the back of their heads, and then I'm going to pop these two little guys up onto some foam tape. Once I have that foam tape release paper off, I can go ahead and place them on the card. Now I'm just going to place them lightly here, and then I'm going to add the little snow marks. One of the bottom of that little guy's eye was kind of peeking out, but I tried to move it and it was pretty much adhered by this point, but I don't think you can notice it too much. I love the added effect that these little snow elements give to the card. So now I can go ahead and make sure those Yetis are adhered well to the card base. I'm going to stamp out my sentiment. I didn't get a good impression the first time. I flipped over my cardstock, but it wasn't a crisp cut on the back of that. So I just went ahead and stamped it out again to the left-hand side. I'm going to place this to the bottom right of the card on the white glitter cardstock just to fill in some of that blank area. You'll see here in a second, I do kind of play around and try to figure out if I want it in a different place on the card, but in the end I felt like there was a lot of white space there, so that's where I'm going to end up adhering it. And once I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on the inside of the card, and I fumbled my stamp block there. I'm going to try to line this up to where I had the ink smudge so the end of the Y would cover that, and I actually got it to work, so I was pretty happy. Added another Yeti with a scarf on the inside of the card, and then I can go ahead and place my panel onto the top of my card base. I'm going to add some extra little details here with the Nouveau Glaze. For the Slimline cards, I like to cut them 4 by 9. So I cut my paper 9 inches by 8 inches and score at 4, and this fits perfectly into a business size envelope. Once I have the Nouveau Glaze on the windows and the glasses of our goggles here for the Yetis, I'm going to bring in a white gel pen. This is a size 10, and I'm loving this. It's newer to me. And I'm going to do their teeth, and I added just a couple lines to add some detail to the houses, the roof of the houses, and then on the hat of our little Yeti. I added some snowflakes to the back as well, and that will complete the scene card. So there's over a week left if you're watching this on Sunday, January 12th, to participate in the Lawn Fawn Lawn Fanatics Challenge, Something Old, Something New. So I encourage you to bust out some stuff in your stash and mix it up with something you might have gotten recently over the holidays and have fun creating. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a fantastic day. I will see you really soon in the next video. Bye!